Elves, Clockwork aliens, Poltergeist Imps, and the Veil of Dimensions. Meeting aliens after you leave your body, or perhaps on some type of trip from a substance consumed. Machine elves, clockwork elves, the popularity of machine elves, clockwork elves, definitely going up. Probably the experimentation of psychedelic drugs higher than it's ever been since the 60s and 70s. Everyone has a compass of truth built inside of them. A filter of, is this BS, is this true? Some people have theirs turned off, or they ignore it. It's kind of like a conscience. I'm not a conspiracy guy. Never have been, never will be. When I hear the talk of 5G beast, cell towers, going to mind control everybody and change our DNA. Changing our DNA, that's a particularly BS for my personal filter. Everyone has their own personal filter. Your personal filter is going to say, I'm more inclined to believe in aliens than spirits. Some people's filters are going to say, I believe in spirits more than aliens. As far as me, just judging on what I've witnessed with my eyeballs, I've never witnessed an extraterrestrial landing in a physical craft. I've seen a couple lights in the sky. Lights in the sky and extraterrestrial spaceships is a giant leap I've never made. I've never witnessed extraterrestrials, ever. I had a dream in a dream where there was a gray-looking alien with reptilian-looking eyes. I consider that demonic. Whitley Strieber, his hit book Communion, he called them the visitors. He never said they were aliens, but he knew that the reason it became a big hit at the UFO conventions is because the cover was a big fat gray alien, or a skinny gray alien, whatever. It looked like a tall gray alien. And it's a scary image. Looks like a demon to me. Demonic in the fact that it scares you, kind of like that new Momo thing going around, whether it's a hoax or not. It's pretty scary. Similar visuals to a gray alien. I saw the Alex Jones on the old Joe Rogan podcast last night, and Joe Rogan, he's a pretty level-headed guy. But even at one time, he believed we didn't land on the moon. My dad is one of the many engineers that drafted up the actual blueprints of the lunar lander. My dad was paid money to do that. He has a master's in mechanical engineering and electrical engineering. He graduated from UCLA. He's a professional in the industry of designing, drafting schematics for very complex things like rockets, satellites, the lunar lander. And I'm proud of him for that. I think that's amazing. I probably wouldn't have been born if he didn't have those successful jobs. We landed on the moon. It's a fact. But Joe Rogan, a very level-headed guy, believed at one time we didn't land on the moon. Now he accepts we probably did, and maybe they faked some footage because of the footage getting radiation, which is theoretically possible, but looks real to me. I don't believe that Kubrick playing any part in any hoax. I don't believe in any of that. I know in the Minions movie, they did walk through 1969 studio in England, perpetuating that mythology. Yeah, they have a right to throw that in a movie. It's a joke for adults. It's a joke that kids wouldn't understand. So when I watched that movie, I thought it was pretty funny. I hope we go back to the moon, build a base. Alex Jones said he, for fun in high school, purposely choked himself out, or his friends would choke him out. He would choke his friends out, and it was a game. They would pass out during lunch and go to different dimensions, go to different worlds, contact aliens, contact spirits, demons. Yikes, Alex Jones. That sort of explains a little bit of why you are how you are. No, I never choked myself out or passed out on purpose in my life, ever. I have passed out a few times, and I've never had any communication or conversation with anything. That's probably the more common. Here's my experience. I passed out, I'm not going to tell you the circumstances. It's just a freak accident. I passed out, and I went to a black place. It felt like a black infinity, kind of like the Matrix. When Neo is in the Matrix, they take him to this white nothingness, and then they load up the stuff, but it felt like I was in a black nothingness. It felt like I was actually standing somewhere, looking around. I couldn't see anything, though. It was pitch black, but I had the feeling it was a place. That's the only place I've ever gone when I have passed out. And sometimes, and I've only been there a few times, I'm not going to exaggerate, Alex Jones said he did it a couple hundred times. That would really explain a few things. Wow. Yikes. That would really explain. That would really explain. That would really explain. You don't want to pass out on purpose. That's not a recreational thing you should ever do. Alex did say it's dangerous, don't do it, I don't condone it. And then he talks about it over and over and over. Don't do that. People have died trying that. I've never blacked out from that. I blacked out from something totally different. But when I was in the black place, the black void, if you will, it felt like I was there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, just looking around. No sound, no anything. No light, no entities, no aliens. That's what I have experienced. It feels to me like a actual veil. Like I've actually seen the veil itself. The veil is pitch black. And it looks like nothing, but it's actually something. It looks like, oh, you're just unconscious, but you're not. You can actually look around. There's nothing to see. Everything's pitch black. But you can get the feeling of movement. You can get the feeling, oh, I'm looking left, I'm looking right, I'm looking up, I'm looking down. You can get that, which you can't get when you're unconscious. So that's why I believe it is possibly a real place. And the actual veil. Have I been on the other side of that veil? Perhaps. I've never left my body on any extreme level that I know. I do believe on rare circumstances humans can leave their body and go to perhaps a dream world that may or may not be the astral plane, some type of in-between dimension or a slightly higher dimension. And it's a very rainbow world, kind of like in the movie Black Panther. He does a ritual and then he wakes up in the world of the dead. The skies are purple. Things are different colors that they shouldn't be or normally are not. That's one sign that you are in the astral realm. That's how it's been described many times. I have seen that. And I have, had dreams, lucid dreams, where here's an entity, here's a person, here's this, here's that. But it's always dream-like. It's never, well, except a few occasions, I guess. A full-blown, here's conversation, here's some information. But people that leave their body from DMT, as Joe Rogan has experienced, he said he met the machine elves. He said most people that do this meet them. He said basically everyone meets them on their first trip. Freaky, pretty freaky stuff. Joe Rogan said he thinks it's internal, part of the mind. So clearly Joe Rogan doesn't believe in dimensions, or doesn't have the inclination to think outside of his reasoning that there are actual dimensions, and why would a drug in your brain cause you to go to them? Joe Rogan said when you die, perhaps the brain releases this drug, which opens the gateway for your spirit to go to this other world. That's his take. Here's my take. When you die, drugs in your brain are not. Your head chopped off from a guillotine. The spirit can't get harmed when the physical body is destroyed. So, for example, you're incinerated immediately. You jump into a volcano. The chemicals in your brain don't cause you to go to this place. The chemicals are burned up immediately. See, the physical body and the chemicals inside the physical body has nothing to do with the spirit's ascension. The spirit ascends to the higher dimension, not too high, but I believe higher than the demon world. Demon dimension, I believe, is the 5th dimension, according to our current scientific understanding of how the dimensions work. Whenever I say that, time and time again, always, a particular religious group will say, no. Demons are in the lower dimension, man. Scientifically, there is no lower dimension. So you're not speaking science, okay? If you want to talk to me on dimensions, talk to me in the language of science, even theoretical quantum physics, which is only theoretical science. But it's the theoretical science of how science worldwide sees the dimensions currently. Fast forward 1,000 years, it'll be different. But currently in this state, in this planet, the scientists worldwide have a structure of their theories on how the dimensions work. Currently, there are no dimensions below the 3rd dimension. Oh, what about the 1st and the 2nd, man? The 1st and the 2nd are not occupiable dimensions. They are example dimensions on the description of the 1st dimension, which is the 3rd dimension. A dot is the 1st dimension, doesn't exist. Just an example. A line is the 2nd dimension, doesn't exist. An example. Where we are at is the 3rd dimension, is not an example, is a reality, is we are already on the lowest of all the dimensions. So the 5th dimension is technically the 2nd occupiable dimension. It's only one up. Why isn't it the 4th? Because we are in the 4th dimension right now. But I thought you said we're in the 3rd. We're in the 3rd/4th. The 4th dimension is time. Time and space are the same. Space and time are the same. Einstein proved this. Other mathematicians, physicists, quantum physicists, theoretical physicists all agree. The 4th dimension is time. Space is time, time is space. Space-time, time-space, the same thing. I can't move without moving in space and time at the same time. They're the same thing. I can't even exist, never moving, without being in space and time at the same time because my body isn't perfectly flat. The flat dimension of the 2nd dimension is non-existent, just an example dimension to describe what the 3rd dimension is. There's no such thing as a 2-dimensional dimension, despite that episode in the Orville where they go to a 2-dimensional dimension and the whole ship gets flat and they fly through this 2-dimensional and then they go back to the 3rd dimension. Cartoons, that's not real. 1 dimension up is the 5th dimension, the closest one to us. Occupiable. Here are the occupiable dimensions just for your information. The 3rd dimension, the 5th dimension, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, to infinity and beyond. One tick above us is the 5th dimension of demons, in my personal opinion. Yes, other people have said that, but I've independently been saying that for many years. I just logically, rationally had experiences with demons firsthand. They were invisible, like the Invisible Man. I make references to pop culture because a lot of people don't have firsthand witness of demons. So I have to use some analogy to describe every demon I've ever seen has been 100% optically invisible. But sometimes they walk on the grass. You can hear footsteps. Sometimes they walk on the carpet. You can hear the most subtle of subtle sounds on the carpet. Sometimes they'll walk on a plastic bag. You can really hear them on a plastic bag. Occultists of the past, such as Crowley, I believe, put powder around a ritualistic area so he could see the footsteps of the spirits that entered that room that he was conducting a Abramelin spell ritual that he never finished. The house was purchased by Jimmy Page, huge fan of Crowley, a lead guitarist of Led Zeppelin. He sold it, but before he sold it, he had a friend watch it for years. So no one would bother the place, break in or anything. And that friend stayed in the house off and on, and he said in the middle of the night, an invisible dog that wasn't there would growl and scratch the door. He would open it up, nothing there. And occultists have said that's probably one of the spirits Crowley invoked and then never banished because he never finished the spell. While I'm not a fan of Crowley, I do admit he probably did summon demons here and there. But he desperately tried, and it took him a lot of time. Whereas me, I don't try at all, and they harass me. As for me, I'm just a regular dude. All right? I'm just a regular guy. But I'm not regular in the fact that I don't partake of drugs. I've never partaken of drugs. I've never done mushrooms. I've never done DMT. I've never done acid. I've never had marijuana. I've never been high from marijuana. I don't know what being high from marijuana is like. It's not my cup of tea. I just choose to stay sober and alert. But let's get back to passing out and seeing these machine elves, these clockwork elves. They're spirits, in my opinion. They are spirits. People that haven't seen them outside of a drug trip, outside of a dream, outside of passing out, do jump to conclusions that it's some internal thing with their brain. As for me, I rented a poltergeist haunted room on accident, not on purpose, in 2011. And I've witnessed fully wide awake playing a video game, fully wide awake watching a movie, fully wide awake just doing chores and making my bed, tidying up, everyday normal mundane things, and the invisible poltergeist demons in my room would knock stuff over. From when I got home from work to around 5:30 a.m. was the cutoff. So 5:30 p.m., probably 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. They had a good 12-hour window. It's very interesting. Where did they go during the 12 hours that they weren't in my room? I don't know. You know, even pondering on it, I was there on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. And even being there a full day, never leaving, they did start to show up around 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m. 6 months in a row, 5.5 months in a row to be exact. These poltergeist demons physically went just knocked over my stuff in my room to the point where I really cleaned it and made it as poltergeist proof as possible, tidying it up to an extreme degree. I had to be extra clean for the poltergeists because they were real. They are real. Those spirits that bothered me still exist and roam this earth to this day. I don't know who they're bothering or if they're in like some type of cold storage, demon soldier just ready to battle. Observing them for 5.5 months, they couldn't move much. They would try to knock over my plastic cup, and I had a glass cup with pencils and pens. And they definitely tried to knock over the whole thing, and they did a couple times. They did knock over the whole thing a couple times. I don't think they ever knocked over the glass one. They knocked over the plastic one. But in the process of trying, you could see the rifling and shuffling of the pencils. And when the plastic one was knocked over, they did knock over the pencils, kind of like a cat knocks off stuff off a table. They sat on a cushion, obviously, in front of my face. I have countless examples. I've already mentioned a lot of them, but here's one I haven't focused on ever. Maybe I've mentioned it. I don't believe I've mentioned it too many times. I wanted to save it for the book. If there's anything way unbelievable, I'm saving it for the book. First of all, people don't believe me to begin with. And YouTube isn't the best format to have a press conference. No one cares. And on top of that, with the competition of clickbait, I'm not competing against the clickbaiters. I'm just speaking of an experience that in reality is my history. It historically happened to me. Not on any fictional level. I was wide awake for those 5.5 months, except for when I was sleeping. They tried to keep me up all night. Moved out of that place. I've never experienced it on that level ever again. Except for a few days, a few times. So I think the demons do check up on me from time to time. See how I'm progressing or not progressing. They definitely want to destroy my life. They definitely want to destroy me. They definitely want to make me financially bankrupt. So I can't have a voice would be the most logical conclusion to that. But I'm not paranoid. I'm not afraid of them 24/7. I live my life, and they try to bother me from time to time, but it's very few and far between compared to 2011. And I already talked about in my last video the 2010 experience with the high-ranking demon. It walked through me, pain, misery, extreme hate, extreme stomach ache, was gone the second it left my body. I'll talk into greater detail. Just 2 days ago, I was recalling the events, and I remembered a few exact things. As the spirit walked through me, I moved around a bit, because I'd never experienced anything like that in my life. Even after having experienced spirits walking through me, I'd never experienced that type of spirit walk through me, ever. It had spirits following it. I undulated, I guess you could say, almost like a seizure. But I didn't have sleep paralysis. I could control myself. Just, I felt possessed for 30 seconds. The 30 seconds he was walking through me. But not possessed on the level where I couldn't talk. I spoke something and I said something to the demon as he was walking through me. I don't want to go into detail on that. The 2011 incidents. Okay, here's one I've never focused on. I was definitely on my laptop. Hulu was pretty new back then. It was pre-Netflix. Hulu wasn't even big back then. There were commercials begging us to watch it. And I did make an account, and it was free back then. Hulu was free, and it had a couple movies. And I did watch 15 minutes of the movie's called From Beyond. It's about a mad scientist. The mad scientist is very much like Jack Parsons, the founder of JPL, NASA, in Pasadena. I ghost investigated the two outside on the sidewalk, legally, publicly, the two houses Jack Parsons lived in. Yes, I'm going to release the video. Nothing phenomenal happened. I may go back. You don't always get amazing results on the first try. But probably surfing Hulu or probably on YouTube, surfing YouTube. And there was luggage underneath my bed. I just put my luggage under my bed. That's pretty much all that was under my bed. Would have been 2 pieces of luggage. I still have those pieces of luggage. And this is what happened. The demon poltergeist, like a child playing, spun one of the wheels on the luggage under my bed. It went like this. And I couldn't see it, I could only hear it, but there wasn't much sound dampening between me and the wheel on the luggage under my bed. Just a couple feet, and I could hear it crystal clear. It sounded like Then it stopped. It's the only time in a 5.5 month period of living there. In a 5.5 month period of living there, that they ever spun that wheel. Very interesting. So they're giving off kind of like a Curious George perspective, but it's probably for deceptive purposes. These entities were extremely calculated. They would sit and creak on everything in the room. They would literally, I just got the feeling that they would, while I was at work, or maybe while I was sleeping, they just calculated, how much weight can we push over? Because I made fun of them. I said, my index finger, first I said, you can move as much as my pinky, congratulations. Or maybe my bottle of water moved an inch or something, very abruptly, not in the space of a month, but in the space of 1 second, my bottle of water moved. And I said, on my bed, I said, oh, congratulations. You have as much power as my pinky. And then I said, oh, okay. On a good day, you have as much power as my index finger. And that was one of the few times I provoked it. I do not recommend provoking demons. I do not recommend it. Yes, a few months later, a demon did flick me on my forehead, which what felt like an actual index finger flicking my forehead. Kind of felt like a small rock hitting my forehead because it was out of the blue and I didn't see it coming. But after analyzing it, it did feel like a human finger flicking my forehead. And I believe that was one of the last times I interacted with those poltergeist demons. They were saying goodbye with a flick just to remember me from when I provoked them. They jumped on top of me in the middle of the 5.5 months when I was wide awake. Choked me. Anyway, they spun that wheel. It's interesting. They did a lot of different stuff like that. They calculatedly pushed down my tripod, which was in the corner of the room. It knocked down my DVD stack exactly. See, they calculated the fall of the tripod, which had been sitting there for at least a week or two. It's one of the first times they started pushing things out of that corner. And I've already talked about at great length. They entered my room at the corner of the room, and they left the room, I presume, in the corner. Because I heard creaks when they entered, creaks when they left. Only in that corner. Never any other corner. The corner was to the right as I slept. I did look for the north, south, east, west, and every room I moved in since. I do know what corner is their corner, the dominant corner, because they do enter from time to time. And when they do, it's pretty obvious. It's not just creaks. If you have any object in a corner of a room, you can hear more than creaks. You can almost hear them touching the objects, pushing them slightly. This sounds insane to someone who doesn't believe poltergeists exist. I believe in the future, these demon poltergeists will reveal themselves in mass, freak the freaking crap out of people in mass, and people like me are going to be one of the few that'll be like, I've already experienced this. I'm pretty used to it, actually. It's not comfortable. I don't like it. But the more you know about something, the fear is a great weapon these entities use. The more you know about them, the less you are afraid of them. A lot of people say it's a lesson. Most definitely trickster demons can teach a lesson, but they can also just mindlessly harass and try to destroy your life. You have to admit, that is a great possibility. And that's my personal belief on what they attempted. Even to this day, me talking about them, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just shut up and stop talking about it. But if Joe Rogan experienced poltergeist demons like I have, he wouldn't think it was all internal and chemicals in the brain. I wonder if Alex Jones has experienced poltergeist demons. I don't know. It doesn't seem like he has, because he's never focused on it on any level. I'm one of the few people that speak and talk about poltergeist demons on a literal level. It's not any satire, it's not a joke. If en masse, millions of demons started moving objects in everyone's room, I wouldn't say I told you so. I'd say specifically, here are the steps to block it out of your life. I would give advice, but people wouldn't listen. Just as they're not listening now, they wouldn't listen then. I appreciate the 10,000 plus subscribers. Yes, I'm going to get the contest winners their items. I'm going on a trip, and I was going on a trip like right when I hit 10K. And I need gas money for the trip. Here comes an airplane, an old-fashioned airplane. It's like a two-man airplane flying over me. Pretty cool. Whew. I wanted to originally put this video in this perspective, but the sun was in my face. Now the sun is setting, it's a lot better. Spirits are real, demons are real. The real deal. I've experienced it firsthand. Extraterrestrials physically existing, I am open to the possibility of physical extraterrestrials living on a physical alien planet that have not yet reached us. But I've never witnessed them face to face. I've never talked to them face to face. I've never seen them materialize in front of my face. A lot of these UFO guys, they mistake the materialization and dematerialization of an entity with, just alien technology, man. No. It's a spirit materializes from their dimension and dematerializing back into the dimension. Or specifically, they pretty much roam this dimension and their dimension at the same time. They're multi-dimensional. Sounds off the wall. You've heard it before. It's actually the real deal. What I didn't know when I was a kid was demons actually hang out on this earth to such an extreme level that they actually congregate, almost on a religious level, in buildings. Physical, third/fourth dimensional buildings. Now, why? Why would a spirit need to hang out inside of a structure? They don't eat, they don't sleep, they don't have fatigue, they don't die. I understand the belief that the jinn have families and die. And let's focus on the similarities and not the differences. I personally believe they don't ever die. These are immortal beings. Does a spirit eat? Spirits do hang out around incense so they can smell incense. It's almost like eating to them. Spirits do hang around when a meal offering, a nicely steaming bowl of rice is offered to them. They'll definitely hang around that steaming bowl of rice. They can almost smell it. They can almost eat it. But they don't. They don't eat the smoke, and they don't eat the steam from the rice offering. They don't need to eat. But they do feed the negative ones off of fear. Don't be afraid of them. So if there ever is a mass, we're talking apocalyptic end of time scenario where poltergeist demons harass everyone, I'd say their power is limited. It's limited. Don't provoke them. Don't engage. Don't even talk to them. Ignore their existence, kind of like Tinkerbell. The less you even acknowledge them, the more they will fade away. Because they're interested in people that acknowledge them. They're interested in people that give them power. in observing their abilities. If I had a conversation with these spirits and I was tempted, I might be tempted to, hey, let's do a magic show together. You guys can move objects invisibly. Let's do a magic show. People will think it's a trick when it's not. It's you guys. And it's a cliche in the magic world with the demons on the poster, whispers in the ear from the demons. I don't know. I don't know on a verifiable fact if any magician has ever made a contract with a demon poltergeist, gone on stage, and performed with them. But if such ever happened, they would mix actual illusions with the real thing, because deniability is something demons love. The deniability factor. But more specifically, I can say this. I actually witnessed actual poltergeist activity in front of my actual face for 5.5 months, 160 days in a row, okay? And these things are real. I wish I could almost explode and become, some type of Alex Jones phenomenon, even though I don't look up to the guy. I don't look up to Alex Jones. I definitely listened to his show here and there in 2016 at the height of his success. But I called BS on a lot of things he was saying. I said, you know what? I don't buy that. And then I would see his audience. Some of them were of a persuasion of this and that. I wasn't with them either. It was entertaining. It was like an entertaining meme. And I'm probably not ever going to be any type of meme. And I don't aspire to that. I'm kind of a low-key individual. Although in my younger years, I was pretty intense. I really keyed it down. It's something that comes with age. You key stuff down. You look at stuff rationally, logically. But rarely do demon poltergeists show up during that rational, logical growing up process. Usually it's the other way around. Usually little kids have invisible friends that they talk to. And as they grow older, they realize that's not real. It's just their imagination. Accepting that the demon poltergeists I witnessed were not my imagination. So I experienced these actual beings, supernatural beings, that could actually move. I'm just getting cold gusts of wind. It could be a coincidence. The sun is setting, but it could be spirits. Spirits are invisible. They can be anywhere and everywhere. They're probably listening. I've filmed here before. Here's a cold spot right here. Wow. Cold spot, dog. Anyway, I did do an experiment in that tree over there. That's where I did the old intro for Mysterialis. And I did talk to the REM pod as I had it in that tree. And I didn't get much of anything. I got like beep, beep, really microscopic beeps. But I did hear bangs, very slight knocks on a piece of metal over there. Let's show the piece of metal, just for context. Here's the tree where I had the REM pod experiment, and I got slight beeps. It was actually Mysterialis experiment number 2. The reason I had it outside of my house and outside of my room is because I was pretty freaked out from the results of the first experiment. Here is where I had the intro for Mysterialis, and here I believe is the piece of metal that a spirit banged and knocked on in response to me as I was asking if it could set off the REM pod. I have it over here. So it almost like, no, I can't really do that, but I'll knock on this. Spirits definitely do like knocking on things. I've heard countless knocks, creaks, bangs from spirits on a regular basis. Even to this day, if I film long enough talking about it, they love it when you talk about them. Definitely some vanity, vain egos in the spirit world going on. But then again, they kind of bother me. I'm a marked individual, but magicians. Because I know poltergeist demons exist, I am open to the possibility that some of the greatest magicians alive who have done levitations could have theoretically used the help of poltergeist demons. I know the ring levitation trick is just something holding up the person. Illusion isn't actual magic. I actually am a huge fan of illusion stage magic. I watched all the shows as a kid. I had a magic kit as a kid. I did a couple tricks. I was really bad at it. Card tricks, coin tricks. I couldn't do sleight of hand. I never mastered sleight of hand. It's definitely a true skill. But I do believe the possibility that a demon would perform a trick if some contract existed. Me keeping my communication with the poltergeist demons limited was my way of not even starting up the conversation of a contract. I didn't even know if a contract was on the table. I never knew. I think it was just harassment because of the incidents of 2010, which I've never fully talked about. I'm supposed to talk about machine elves. Machine elves are demons. Clockwork elves, Alex Jones made the reference, and Joe Rogan. Do you think they're robots? You think they're robots? You think they're like, because they act very robotic. Many people have said gray aliens act more like robots than like aliens would, right? Or the classical movie Alien. The classical movie Alien is, we come in peace. A gray alien shows up, never says hi, never says bye. Just stare at you, trying to hypnotize you or something, make you pass out, give you paralysis, do experiments on you, and then leave you, dump you off. They have no social skills at all, kind of like a robot would. Most definitely they are robotic. I've never firsthand had any abduction experience, anything like that. I just had a lucid dream where I did see a gray alien at the foot of my bed with reptilian eyes. The eyes were pretty big, but they weren't cliche as big as I've ever seen on any of the mainstream drawings and illustrations and puppetry designed by Hollywood. They were smaller than I expected. Anyway, I believe that was a demon. A dream demon that gave me a dream just to freak me out. Demons have the personality of a robot. Demons show up, do the task they were sent for, and leave. Specifically, imp servant demons. The type of little imps you see in the Harry Potter movies. I have seen medieval woodcuts of demons. A lot of them match that. Clearly, it's one of the inspirations for the mythological creature of the imp that has supernatural powers. An imp is just a short demon, kind of like a gray alien in a different mask, and they have a master that sent them. Their master, in my case, was the 2010 demon, sent 2 imp demons after me in 2011. I have a sense that, it walked through me last year. 11 months ago, a demon picked up my wires and dropped them after and before stepping on objects in my room, touching a few things, but picking up the wires and dropping them. I had a sense he was a tall demon, and when it walked through me, or at least not that night, it didn't walk through me that night, that was 11 months ago. It wasn't too many days before. It was literally days or weeks before the wires incident. A spirit walked through me, right to left. And I classified as a number 6 on the scale of 10. I sensed spirits walk through me and I gauged them with a number. I'm going to write this in my book. I'll make a chart. Believe it or disbelieve it, but as I've filmed, I haven't felt a single spirit walk through me. I've just felt a couple cold spots, which happens when the sun sets. Very natural thing. I'm a skeptical person, a rational thinker. I believe in a lot of what mainstream science says. I believe we landed on the moon. I don't believe in chemtrails. I believe in contrails. Condensation on the wingtips of planes. The occasional dumping of fuel and waste. The story of the aluminum mixed in makes zero sense. The eyewitness of the aluminum buckets is hearsay. Show us some video. If you're going to be a whistleblower, be like Snowden. Be like Assange. Are they good people or are they bad people? You might like them, you might dislike them. But at least they showed documentation along the way. So people take them seriously in the mainstream because they've shown documentation. I can't show documentation on demons other than researching occult books. I've purchased about $3,000 of occult books ever since about 2 years after the Demon Poltergeist Haunted Room, 2011. I'd say 2012 I was browsing at them, but 2013 is when I really started. Just a regular helicopter. This is apparently a busy air traffic location. Just a regular old helicopter, no big deal. It's like, why am I... I'm not a paranoid person. I think it's just funny. It's a good illustration, though. These airplanes and helicopters flying overhead is a really good illustration of a conspiracy theorist. They would jump to the conclusion, it's the men in black, it's a black helicopter. What the hell's going on, man? As for me, planes and helicopters fly over this area all the time. It's freaking normal, it's freaking common. I just had to give you an example of myself not being a conspiracy dude, not being a conspiracy guy. The more I talk about how I don't believe in this conspiracy and don't believe in that conspiracy, the more I'm hated, the more I'm called a shill. And you can't say, I'm not a shill. That's exactly what a shill would say, man. Anyway, spirits are real. I've experienced them. I don't have anything to gain by putting my face on the internet and saying spirits are real. I have nothing to gain and much to lose. Perhaps a future job prospect will say, you know what? I saw this video of you talking about demons. I don't think you're right for the job. I can see that happening possibly in my future, which is why hopefully maybe one day I can publish books. Maybe I can write books on the subject. I'm dedicated and passionate about talking about my history, what I've observed, hopefully to help someone who's experienced the same thing. There's apparently someone who also, in the past, not too many years ago, had 6 months of poltergeist activity. I don't know who it is. I don't know who this person is. I was contacted by a TV channel, and I'm still open to ghost investigating. You won't find anyone that believes in the subject more than me, that has experienced the subject more than me, and has as little fear of going out in the middle of the night to any haunted location than me, because I do it solo. None of these other shows do it solo. Have you ever seen a single ghost investigator go out solo like I do? Perhaps here and there, but I can't think of one example. So I would like that job, but it's been a couple months back. They contacted me around Thanksgiving last year, so it's been a good number of months. I haven't heard back from them, so I assume they don't watch my videos anymore. But they did watch a couple of my videos because they contacted me and said, hey, we're considering you for a ghost investigation show. And I could do that. Talking about ghosts and demons won't hurt me on that level. But a regular standard desk job, hopefully Hopefully a future employer doesn't see my videos. It is perhaps one of the reasons why I do use the name John Razimus. In the interview with the TV people, they said, state your name and what you do. I said, this is John Razimus. That's my YouTube name. That's my internet name. But it's not a different persona. It's me. It's just, ever since the year 1999, the movie The Matrix came out. And Neo was his real name. Not Thomas Anderson. That's the name of Neo in The Matrix. His real name, or his Matrix name, is Thomas Anderson. Mr. Anderson. Blah, blah, blah. But Thomas is his first name. And ever since I watched that movie, I've been on the internet so long, so often. I was like, I need my own Neo name. I'm going to go by Razimus. People try to steal it from me. Here and there, all over the place. As if they heard of it before. They never have heard of it. The only place they've heard of it is through hearing about me. And thinking I'm obscure enough where no one's going to notice if they steal it from me. I noticed, and everyone else will notice, because the name Razimus will never be associated with anything bigger than my microscopic YouTube channel. Never will. My cases. You know, before I investigated John Teeter, I investigated the Montauk Project for many years. I found a government website with toxic waste barrels and Camp Hero, Montauk Air Force Base. The reason there's a guard at Camp Hero to this day is because of the toxic waste buried and sealed off by concrete in the basement of the decaying structures, a dangerous site for the public, closed off to the public, right there in Camp Hero. Yet all this conspiracy nonsense goes around. I thoroughly, for years, to the point where I interviewed the commander of Camp Hero. How many people has interviewed the commander of Montauk Air Force Base during the late 70s, early 80s? I also interviewed one of the soldiers. What I did was I searched for 1,000 hours on Montauk Air Force Base till I found an alumni site with a list of a good 20 emails. I emailed everyone on the list. Hey, would you like... I independently, I didn't do it in a big chain. I independently, so they, knew that it was one-on-one interview. Would you be open to talking about Camp Hero, Montauk Air Force Base? I said, you probably heard about the conspiracy theories. As for me, I want to know just what life was like on a daily basis at the base. I'm not interested in sensationalism. I'm interested in the truth. Out of that 20 list, only 2 responded. A regular soldier and the freaking commander of Montauk Air Force Base. And the commander and the soldier were open. I will reveal those interviews in the future. Matter of fact, I've already revealed those interviews years ago. As far as my evidence on the toxic waste barrels, I never thoroughly revealed the source of the .gov military website. It took me 1,000+ hours of searching Montauk Air Force Base keywords to find that website. So sure, I'll do a video on it, but it's a boring subject. It's almost a dead subject. People don't care. They want to hear about it. What they want to hear about is a freaking gateway to a time travel. Yeah, time freaking drove a truck through this big old wormhole. Freaking reptilian, Zeta Reticuli freaking aliens helped us out with the software. They don't want to hear about the average truth of the commander running the base and the average soldier working there. That has been silenced to such a level where the conspiracy world only cares about the clickbait, viral, sensational, outlandish bullcrap. That's how I see a lot of the conspiracy world. I feel sorry for a lot of the people that believe in this stuff. And then Joe Rogan and Alex Jones, Eddie Bravo, they talked about how, more specifically, Alex Jones and Joe Rogan said, schizophrenic people think everything's a conspiracy. This is a loose quote from Joe Rogan. Them having some orange juice is a conspiracy. What's in the orange juice? Them using some soap. What's in the soap? Everything is a conspiracy to some of these people who suffer from a horrible illness. I met a schizophrenic guy. I probably met a few, but I haven't met too many. One that I remember, I guess I met a good 2 schizophrenic individuals and had a conversation with them. Sat down, had a conversation. And this one guy, he was a nice guy. He was open to talking. You know what? Now that I think about it, I've probably sat down with a good 3 schizophrenics. Yeah. They're all different levels. Some are more coherent than others. Some seems like they're in a drugged state, and maybe they are taking some type of drugs to counteract this illness of the brain. But one of them talked about UFOs. UFOs. It's the only thing he wanted to talk about. We were just asking him how his day was, how's he doing? UFOs. Nice guy. He can't help that he was born with it. This other individual, he wanted to talk about the pyramids. Pyramids. Made a couple biblical references, and back to the pyramids, and then just off on tangents that are hard to follow. Kind of like watching Alex Jones. But Alex Jones, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of him. But he's not schizophrenic, but I would agree he probably has something. But I don't diagnose people from a distance. It's just his boasting about passing out on purpose 200 plus times. Yikes, that's scary. I guess Richard III would have been, he was definitely schizophrenic. I met him at a halfway house. I wasn't at the halfway house. I was doing community service type thing. And he was a cool guy. He was a very nice guy. And he always introduced himself as Richard III. Like, hey, Richard III. Well, we didn't call him that. We just said, hey, Richard, how's it going? He's like, it's Richard III. My dad was Richard II. Grandfather was Richard I. Like, okay, all right. And he taught me the word pyramidical. Richard III taught me the word pyramidical. I never heard the word pyramidical before Richard III. I like that name that word to this day. Pyramidical means sphinx-like a mystery, like mysterialis. And here comes, and we got to cover all the traffic to show that, you know what, it's not a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. It just happens to be a high traffic location. Wow, it's hard to focus on this guy, but you get the gist. Wow, this is going to be a long video, but you know what? That 4 hour and 40 minute podcast with Joe Rogan last night, jeez, the freaking wheeze. Some people say it's like a sci-fi movie. Eddie Bravo tweeted it was like being in a sci-fi movie. He spelled it wrong. He spelled it SCI-FY. It's SCI-FI. The Sci-Fi Channel, I guess, confused him a little bit. No big deal. Eddie Bravo had a really good point. He said alien videos on YouTube are big business. Top advertisers want to advertise on alien videos. Alex Jones said aliens are anything that's out of this world, from another world. Demons, technically speaking, according to that logic, are aliens. They technically are from an invisible, unseen world, an invisible, unseen planet. That planet happens to be exactly in the location of this planet in a different dimension. That's how dimensions work. So this planet has multiple spheres of existence, all occupying the same space, just different dimensions. So there are 11 plus planet Earths going around, perhaps 11 plus suns at the center of the 11 plus solar system. That's current modern day quantum physics, theoretical. And CERN, they're trying to prove it by breaking particles apart. Everyone knows it. But the conspiracy is they're opening up a gate to hell. I lived in a house in 2011 which I called the Gates of Hell, and there wasn't any technology like CERN. There wasn't any $17 billion worth of massive tunnels shooting particles, technology like that in my room, all right? Spirits can drop down anytime, any place, anywhere. They don't need technology to do that. But they do prefer angles and corners, sacred geometry. They're really focused on. So they will drop down using the corner as a sacred geometry angle, the pentagram, a very common, the number one most common symbol on summoning demons, the pentagram. It definitely is a golden rectangle mathematical design. But I think any type of sacred geometry spirits are more attracted to, because they see symbols from a fifth dimensional perspective. I have no concept of what looking at a symbol from a fifth dimensional perspective is like. You see these videos, oh, this kid describes the fourth dimension. Oh my gosh. We're in the fourth dimension right now. This is the third/fourth. You can't move in space without moving in time, dude. You want me to describe the fourth dimension? Here it is. Time and space, space and time. I can't move without being in space. I can't move without being in time. We're already here. This is the fourth dimension. I think the Twilight Zone episode of The Gateway to the Fourth Dimension probably messed a lot of people up, because that's sci-fi. Sci-fi that was uneducated sci-fi. The writers of that script did an amazing job. Just with the dimension-wise, they did a bad job. Kanye West talks about the fourth dimension. MGMT talk about the fourth dimension on a very ignorant level. We're already here, dude. But the fifth dimension, that's something we can't understand and conceive of and perceive, because we are in the third/fourth. We can't see the fifth. But these fifth dimensional beings can look down and see us. Machine elves, clockwork elves, they're emotionless. Reptilian from an emotional perspective. Except people that have lizard pets. I'm sure lizard pets show some emotion, but you gotta admit, they don't show that much. I saw a Komodo dragon walking in my backyard once. A big Komodo dragon just reading about how they can whip their tail and like poison you and stuff. It walked really slow. It looked like a tiny dinosaur. It's pretty cool. And then I saw a baby dragon, Komodo dragon, and hiding in the rocks in my backyard. And he was hiding, but his tail was sticking out and his feet were sticking out. It's pretty funny. Anyway, machine elves, they're emotionless. They're like gray aliens, emotionless. Same being. Gray aliens, machine elves, same entity. Demons, same entity. Demons are very emotionless. They don't have any empathy or sympathy, perhaps. Although I'm not in the body of a demon, so I can't speak for them. I can just observe and give my guesses. But my guesses are based on first-hand experience of experiencing first-hand meeting a high-ranking demon in 2010. Watch my last video. And first-hand, a year later, renting a room with 2 imp poltergeist demons that moved round objects in my room on a chaotic level. They never levitated anything except perhaps one time. They picked up a screw inside of my computer drawer and dropped it, and it spiraled. That's the only levitation that I ever experienced in that 5.5 months, and I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I turned off the light, put my head on the pillow, and I heard that. And Otherwise, it was just knocking stuff over. They knocked over 2 boxes. That was the biggest thing they ever knocked over in that room. But they knocked it over 2 seconds after I commanded them to leave. So, witnessing that, I command you to leave. In the name of God, leave. I command you. I was even more stern than that. I was 1,000 times more stern than that. I'm surprised my roommates in the other rooms didn't knock on my door and say, "What the hell's going on, man? Who are you yelling at?" But they never did. The sushi chef that lived in the room to my right, he was rarely ever home. And the other guy, I guess he wasn't home either. The other guy worked at CVS Pharmacy, I believe. Perhaps was working somewhere else. The landlady, she lived there in the garage from time to time, but she usually wasn't there either. So usually the landlady and my 2 roommates weren't there. But at as stern as I've ever been in my life, I command you to leave. Very loud. I'm not even going to reproduce it. Even thinking about it makes my stomach feel a little bit sick. But I commanded these demons to leave. At the time, I thought it was 1 demon. I've since come to the conclusion it's 2, but who cares? 1, 2, they're invisible entities. It could have been 1, 2,000. But I know there's at least 2 of them. I commanded them to leave. They knocked over the boxes immediately after I said that. The boxes were a good 5, 6, 7 feet away from me. I didn't touch them. I wasn't moving. I was standing. I said, "I command you to leave. I command you to leave." I was really aggressive. Bam, the boxes fell right in front of my face. I saw that. That actually in reality happened. I would take a lie detector test. I would take a psychiatric evaluation. And any therapist or psychologist, psychiatrist, or lie detector expert would walk away baffled, shaking their head, especially if they're of the atheist persuasion, because what I experienced actually happened to an extreme degree, the real deal, dead serious. Even if there was a gun to my head and someone said, "Deny that happened, otherwise you're dead," I'd say, I can't deny it. To the most extreme level, it happened. And so when people talk about machine elves, it's an out-of-body or astral realm or dream state version of what these demons are. These demons rarely move objects because I've reached out. I've searched the internet for years trying to find other people to sympathize with, to understand where I'm coming from so I can understand them. We can make a support group. And what usually happens is people don't talk about it. Kind of like a victim in many different type of victim cases. I am a victim of demon poltergeist harassment. It's real. It actually happened. God knows it happened. The devil knows it happened. That's the thing. The demons know it happened. The angels know it happened. I would swear on a stack of 1,000 Bibles, but that would look like a joke. I would swear on the grave of my grandmother, my grandfather. But I don't want to be disrespectful, although it seems like I already just did swear on them. But I do swear. I swear to the fullest extent of how I can possibly swear. On my deathbed, I'll never deny it, because it actually happened. I'm going to pass down the story. Hopefully they pass it down from generation to generation, but it's not going to exist on YouTube forever. I wouldn't be surprised if my entire channel disappears before I die. And so I am going to write it down in books. Oh, it's just to sell it, man. It's just to sell it. I'm a huge fan of books. I have a book collection worth over $3,000. Not bragging. But I spent many years as a low-wage person that works paycheck to paycheck. And instead of getting a nice meal, I got a book. And then I skimped and got some ramen instead. So it really took a lot of dedication and work to save up to get those books. And only in one of those books did I relate part of the experience in 2010, the high-ranking demon. And in a couple others, I saw some similarities, mirrorings of something that happened to me during the 5.5 months in the Poltergeist haunted room. I'm going to share that in my book, and I've already promised after my book is published, and I'm going to self-publish it, so it will happen. No one can deny me other than suppression and oppression from the negative entities. You got to understand, they most definitely want me to be bankrupt. They most definitely don't want me to write these books. If you've seen me talk about these books, you think they're never going to happen. They are going to happen. It's my life's work. Carl Jung had a great dedication to his psychological beliefs and trying to explain things on a psychological level. He experienced poltergeist activity. He thought it was internal. He thought he had psychokinetic abilities. When he got angry, talking with Sigmund Freud on the subject of poltergeists of all subjects, a poltergeist flew one of the books off the bookshelf. And Sigmund Freud saw it, and Carl Jung saw it. And I don't know the full story. I'm going to try to research it better, but Carl Jung basically said, see, here's proof that getting angry, psychokinesis can be induced in my brain for one reason or another. Carl Jung thought he had the fire starter ability to telepathically, telekinetically more specifically, telekinetically have telekinesis and move objects with his mind, but he couldn't control them. It was just kind of randomly happened. The reason you couldn't control them, the late Carl Jung, who I will study more of your books, fascinating character, is because you weren't moving those objects. That book flying off the shelf, if it wasn't an earthquake, you always have to look for the logical explanation, was a poltergeist demon. And it knew your perspective on thinking, getting angry, and it played right into your trap. And he has the red book where he draws some of the entities that he saw. Perhaps during his visits, like the machine elves leaving his body, he kept that red book a secret, and it was published after his death. And I'm definitely going to get it. I've already flipped through it. I've already looked at pretty much all the plates. Beautiful drawings, beautiful illustrations of some otherworldly creatures, what it appears to be, demons. Machine elves, clockwork elves are demons. They manifest in different ways. They can physically manifest outside of your brain, outside of your dream. They're independent, conscious, sentient beings from the 5th dimension or above, but I believe the 5th is the closest to us. It's most logical. And that's my opinion. They're demons. I'm sticking to it. I've witnessed demons firsthand. I've never witnessed physical aliens firsthand. If I witnessed a physical alien and I filmed it, my opinion would change on perhaps some of these beings are physical aliens with physical abilities. But what I've experienced is all spirit. And here it comes, at the end of the video, another aircraft. It's just a popular flight path for the smaller type of airplanes. I thank you for watching. This has been John Razimus ranting about demons being machine elves being demons. Whoa! Okay. Probably just a coincidence, but I heard an animal walking in that grass. Hey, are you an animal or are you a demon? Straight up and reveal yourself, dog. I ain't joking, dog. Straight up reveal yourself if you're a demon, dog. But if you're a freaking little rabbit, or a little ground squirrel, then no big deal. But you are very clearly and distinctly manifesting yourself over there. Here comes another airplane, but I'm going to keep it focused on the old Grassarino. I heard definitely a creature crawling in that grass right there. That grass right there, a creature was crawling. I'm not going to jump to the conclusion. I'm not going to jump to the conclusion it was a demon. But I was talking about demons and I was about to close my video. But I'll keep it rolling. Let's see. I didn't bring any ghost investigation equipment because I'm holding off. I'm holding off on ghost investigating. I do it few and far between. I space it out and sparse it out on an intended level to keep the harassment in my room minimal. When it's real, when it really happens to you, even though I own $2,500 plus of ghost investigation equipment, you would think I want to just go out and film everywhere and just be stoked about going to the parking lot, which I believe to be haunted, going to the Safeway, going to different buildings. People give me tips on where to go. I have intuition. I'm going to go to a couple tunnels here and there, back to the haunted tunnel. I have less inclination to do that because demons walk in my freaking room. Maybe not the next day, maybe not the next week, but a month later. They're interested. Oh, this guy's a ghost investigator, huh? Let's scare him. Let's freak him out. I don't know if this is a demon or not. Let's check it out. Animal or demon? Animal or demon? Okay. All right. I have to give my conclusion of animal or demon. A new show we got here. I believe it is 100% a nocturnal animal. This nocturnal animal waited for the sun to set before he woke up out of his slumber of the broad daylight. And I definitely believe it was a nocturnal animal because looking at the tree, I can see there is, let's get a better look at it. See, I like to show the logical conclusions to everything, okay? And using the night vision on this camera, luckily we have night vision, you see a huge impression, right? No, that's not where a spirit is standing, I don't believe. I believe that is a nest. If you look close, you can see it is the nest of a nocturnal creature. All of these little nocturnal creatures here, they build nests. And that looks like the entrance right there. And they build a little nest with trees. It could be a rabbit, but it could be a fearful rabbit. It could be something else, but it's definitely a nocturnal primarily creature. That looks pretty cool. The sky looks pretty cool. Yeah. I like that. All right. I'm going to end this video. Trust me. I'm going to end it. Just wanted to say that I look for the logical explanation in everything. That happened to be a nocturnal animal with a nest underneath that tree. Despite me talking, it did want to come out and forage for food. I apologize for freaking out the nocturnal creature there. But I have heard demons make knocks and creaks while I talked about them on camera. Better safe than sorry. But, I don't think that was a demon. I have filmed a demon walking in footsteps on the Grist Mill Ghost and the Good Pirate. I've been there 4 times. Editing the footage is time consuming because my weekends are limited. And do I want to relax and watch a movie, or do I want to spend 48 hours editing? And my time is limited, but I will edit those videos. Stay tuned for part 2, 3, and 4, or the condensed 3 and 4 might be the one singular episode, and I'll condense it into a documentary of the Grist Mill Ghost and the Good Pirate. I believe I'm going to rename it because I think it might be a demon, it might be a nature spirit. What's the difference? We will discuss these things and more in a future video. I thank you for watching. Machine elves are freaking demons, in my freaking opinion. Can't prove it, but I've experienced them outside on a level where I know they're sentient, conscious, independent beings that happen to be invisible because they're in a higher dimension. Stay tuned. I thank you for watching. This is John Razimus with Mysterialis Ghost Investigation. Be seeing you.